our organizing committee member, Dan Pearson. So Dan is going to be talking about aligning minds and machines, cooperative AI for business. And I'm going to introduce Dan in a second here. So Dan is a dedicated business strategist and current master's candidate in business and policy and strategy at the University of Lethbridge. He specializes in designing pathways for organizational alignment and change by viewing businesses as complex systems where meaningful impact comes from purposeful integration. Based in Calgary, Alberta, Dan bridges academic theory with practical application using his strengths in optimization, team leadership, and project management to turn complex ideas into actionable, achievable projects. With strong interest in technology, from programming and AI to digital transformation, he uses data-driven insights to drive coherent system-wide growth. So Dan, the stage is all yours.
Thank you. Is that working there? Okay. All right. Coming up clear?
Yep, I can see it.
Okay. So, welcome. Today, many of the sessions in this conference have showcased brilliant technical advancements in AI, but I want to offer a complementary perspective. We're going to step back from the circuitry and look more through the lens of story. Because while the data tells us what's happening, it's stories that help us to understand why. And our story today begins with a vital question. How do we work with AI instead of being replaced by it? Not the cliche fear of robots taking over, but the real and urgent challenging of aligning human goals with machine potential. So let's start with the stark warning. And from the person at the absolute center of the AI revolution, Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA. The company building the engines of this change, he recently made headlines with a blunt declaration. Every single job will be affected by AI, and soon. That's not a forecast from the bank. That's a declaration from the very person building the future. It creates this intense pressure and uncertainty. So facing with that reality, how are businesses on the ground actually reacting? Well, here's the twist. This is where we get to see the great contradiction between what leaders believe about AI and what their companies are actually doing. We can see this answer clearly in the latest data from Statistics Canada. While surveys show over 80% of the businesses recognize the transformative potential of AI, compared to only 1 in 10 are actually planning on adopting it soon. This contradiction, this massive gap you see right here in the chart, exposes the tension with change. This isn't a technical problem. This is a trust problem, and it's a readiness problem. But this isn't a new fear. Early in the 1900s, people panicked as the automobile threatened the horse economy. It was happening right here. In May of 1908, the Calgary Herald reported the city council debate about regulating cars. Alderman Frost argued that the new laws he had put in prevent horses or cars because horses were not accustomed to the machines and were adopted to bolt. And again, in the 1980s, we got the same fear from computer. In 1983, an article from the Washington Post warns that the coming future of the office will have the traditional secretary become obsolete. But yet here we are. No fewer office workers, but with different tools, different roles, and new opportunities. These transitions are really painful and disruptive. And data from the US Census of Manufacturers showed that in 1890, there was over 13,000 companies making horse-drawn carriages. By 1920, only 90 of them remained, and that decline is the real loss. But from that decline, new industries exploded. The buggy shop gave way to mechanics, road construction, the horse trade was replaced by tourism, and right here in Alberta, a booming oil and gas sector built on the internal combustion engine. With each wave, ultimately comes opportunity, then it erased. That's the reality we need to face. Fear is understandable, but we can afford to stay still. Technology isn't inherently good or bad. but it is a force that multiplies. That's why today is about showing how we can cooperate with AI, helping leaders make decisions, students make sense of complex ideas, and businesses make progress. So here's a stat you'll love, and one you can actually check with the CDC and the International Shark Attack File. More people die annually from slipping on a banana than from shark attacks. Or another famous one is in 1991, a study on left-handed people showed that they die earlier. An AI given that stat without context might ground every single left-handed pilot. But a human can find the nuance. The data was skewed by a world designed for right-handed people. The data point isn't technically wrong, but the conclusion is dangerous, absurd with no human to ask why. So let's imagine a bakery where AI is in charge. It scans health trends and finds that foods with raisins are labeled healthier. So it adds raisins to everything. Raisin muffins, raisin bagels, raisin lattes. Sales crash and children are crying. But why? AI is optimized for metrics, not meaning. Metrics without meaning lead to madness, especially when raisins are involved. So this leads to cooperative AI, which is unlike pure automation. This model supports collaborative intelligence. Think of it like Jarvis, not Ultron. It doesn't help on its own. It listens, adapts, and improves your decision-making, not trying to be you, but trying to help you. So we've seen fictional failure. Now let's look at the real world from a case study that I was fortunate enough to conduct. The central figure in this was a musician called Kevin. He was a true artist, and he definitely was not a coder. He explained that after experimenting with AI music generators, it came to a crucial insight. While technology was interesting, the music itself felt empty. It was missing a soul, a heart that he knew only a human artist could provide. This observation became his mission. He created an app that allowed musics to input their own unique sound and create complex rhythmic backgrounds that they can share, collaborate, or even incorporate into live music sets. Now that technology to do this was a significant technical feat, and the process wasn't easy. There were many late nights where, in his words, he had to bash the app into existence, line by line, through a conversation with ChatGPT. But he did it, with no dev team, no investors, just his vision, his struggle, and a cooperative AI partner that helped him transform frustration into a finished product. But part of what makes this story so powerful is the road he didn't take. Imagine for a moment that he just told his team to optimize for market growth. Suddenly, his collaborative tool pivots into an AI-powered content farm, churning out thousands of soulless, algorithm-pleasing jingles. The growth metrics would look amazing, but the art would be gone. Well, this inevitable result is when human vision is replaced by metrics. And the soulless, empty result from the very future Kevin saw coming is the exact thing he was building against from. He chose the harder, more human-centric path, precisely avoiding this one. But let's remember, small businesses are stretched thin. They have minimal time, skills, and resources. Cooperative AI can help by filling these gaps without replacing people. Marketing copies, no problem. Strategic insights, easy. Computer feedback analysis, AI can support all of those as long as the human remains the decision maker. But here's the fear. AI will take our jobs. And yes, some automation does displace people. But cooperative AI is different. It makes humans stronger. It's a digital assistant, not a manager. It gives back time, clarity, and agency. So if this cooperative approach is so powerful, why don't we hear so many businesses who say AI didn't work for us? Often it's because they started off too big or too vague. They tried to ask the AI to run my business, and it failed. It's like hiring a new intern and then asking them to be the CEO on their first day. It's just a recipe for disappointment. The key to conquer these barriers is by starting small. Don't ask AI to create your entire marketing strategy. Instead, ask, can you summarize this long report into 5 bullet points? Or brainstorm 3 subject lines for a new newsletter. Small, useful, context rich tasks like these are where cooperative AI shines. And this is how we build trust. But absurdity is being part of being human. AI won't fix that, but it can help us make sense of it. If we disengage, we risk building a future that forgets us. But if we stay present, we can shape the future that honors what matters. We can build a future with AI, intentionally, collaboratively, and always human first. So this brings us full circle. Remember that stark warning from NVIDIA CEO where we started with? It turns out this was only the first half of the story, because what he says next is the solution. He clarifies that you won't lose your job to AI, you'll lose your job to somebody who uses AI. That's the choice we've been exploring today, not to be replaced, but to be enhanced. That's how we build the future, with thinking partners. And in a world with a newfound model drops every other month, this human-centered approach isn't just a strategy, it's an anchor. So our path forward is clear. We build on with thinking partners, but we step into a path, and it's important for us to know the terrain ahead. Foundational research like the Open Problems Cooperative AI paper shows us what researchers are working on now to make partnerships truly robust. They're tackling challenges like AI perception, the very reason why Kevin was driven to build the app with heart, not just a soulless algorithm. They're working on cooperative incompatibility. This is why our small start approach is so vital for becoming and helping AI coordinate with new partners. They focus on adapting to human behavior so AI can understand context and we can avoid more of the raisin bakeries on a global scale. Solving these problems for the next decade involves everyone in this room. But perhaps the greatest open problem isn't a technical one at all. To teach machine about our goals, we must be first clear about our own values. To build an AI that can handle human unpredictability, we must first appreciate our own beautiful, maddening, absurd complexity. The quest to build a cooperative AI is an ultimate journey in self-discovery. It holds up a mirror and forces us to ask, what parts of our own intelligence, our own judgment, our own compassion, our wisdom are most important? What do we need to amplify? Perhaps in the effort to build a partner, we must first learn to be better humans. Thank you.